Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. As ever, I've got a book review for you today, and we're going to jump into it. It's The Dynasty of Evil, book 3 of the Darth Bane trilogy. It's the audiobook, as I mentioned in the second book review of the trilogy. Again, written by Drew Karpyshyn, of course, and voiced by Jonathan Davis. The entire trilogy is, at least the copies I've been listening to through Audible, and again, Jonathan Davis does a fantastic job, and the use of sound effects, his voice, and the John Williams Star Wars music is fantastic. So yeah, we're going to jump into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it does help me and the channel out, and it'll help you so you won't miss any of the content. Plenty to come, and yeah, so we'll jump into it. So straight off the bat, the Dynasty of Evil novel picks up about 10 years. I believe it's 10, because I've read and listened to so many books lately, it's all going jumbled in my head, but it's 5 to 10, I'm pretty sure it's 10 years after the second book, where Darth Bane was severely injured. And at the start of this book, he's not fully better again, in the sense that he's untouched, unscratched. He's fully healed, he's better, as good as he's going to be, but he still now feels the kind of creaks of old age, and the battle scars that he's got, and the limitations that had with it. He feels that. So in terms of physically, he's not in a place that he once was, but mentally all of his faculties are there, and he's totally aware of what happened to get to this point. So he knows what Zana pulled off to get him to this point, but he also is fully aware that, because she voices it to him, that she needs him until she doesn't, and one day she will challenge him and beat him and take over, and that's how the Sith will survive. So he's fully aware, and he knows this because he told her that's what she's going to need to do when he took her on. But he's now at a point where he's getting older, and now he's thinking, well, she's not ready, but I'm physically not able to work at my best, so I'm going to need to find a way around it, which is kind of what Palpatine was looking towards. Sidious was looking towards, how can I clone myself, or clone something, put my essence in another vessel, so that I can kind of just rule the Sith forever, which kind of comes down to this Sith, the trope of the greed and stuff like that, selfishness will inevitably be their undoing, because they only look inward, and they miss a lot of the kind of team working stuff that if they weren't so greedy and tried to do everything for themselves, for their own interest, then maybe their order would have done better. And that's kind of the infighting is what killed the Sith out for years and years. As the most powerful Sith would say, no, I'm the best, no, I'm the best, and they would kill each other, and there'd be no more Sith. So the essence transfer part is very interesting, and it dives a lot into that, and Bane goes after holocrons and things like that for the information to do that. And it's fantastic. Again, like I say, the Sith lore is brilliant. In terms of where he lies in the book, basically they've 10 years later, they've adopted new personas. They've got a really nice house, loads of money, loads of contacts. They do their bidding from the shadows, as always. But again, they're in hiding. The Jedi think that they're gone now because of what happened at the end of the book. Again, I don't want to spoil it in case you've not jumped into the book since you've watched my last review on the Rule of Two, book 2. But because of what was pulled off, the Jedi didn't think that the Sith survived. They thought that they died finally this time. And now Zana is still the apprentice, and Darth Bane still sent her out on errands and things like that to learn and to gather them information and this, that and the other, to move the pawns on the board, so to speak. But their cover is that their brother and sister, rich kids of something relation to a politician somewhere or something like that, and they've got loads of money. That's kind of their cover. But they continue to train and all that kind of stuff, and they kind of go out on these separate missions. Bane sends her out on this mission, and it's kind of twofold. He needs what she's going to do to be done, but also he needs her away so that he can go after these holocrons about essence transfer and not tell her about it, so that she doesn't suspect that he's trying to come up with a way to dodge basically dying and her taking over. Excuse me. And in doing so, Xana kind of contemplates, is this the push for me to like go and find a new apprentice so that I'm ready, because he thinks I should challenge him, and at the same time he's thinking, is she going to go and do that? I better be ready to kill her and whoever she brings and then find a new apprentice. So it's very interesting. And then also the third kind of plot line of the book is it follows the story of the girl, of the healer, the daughter who was sent away so that the guy had nothing to lose when Bane would come back one day, and it follows her story and how it ties back into she eventually wants to try and find Bane, because she hears news that essentially ties in without saying it, because no one else knows Darth Bane's alive. She does, and she knows from the description that basically the Sith Lord survived, but she can't tell anyone. So it's a very like covert. She goes after it. She uses the resources she's got in her new life to kind of go on this journey, but she's not kind of telling anyone what her real motives are. And the book twists and turns in all of the sides, culminating in them all coming together at the end. Okay, so picking up where we left off, like I said, all of the side stories are all interwoven, and they inevitably, they come to a crescendo of a meeting place, the pinnacle of the book. So we're at the end of the book where Darth Bane needs to basically either survive his challenging from Xana, or use the essence transfer method if need be, but then he would need a good host to do that, and you can't trial and error that. If you go to do it and it fails and you die, you've got to just put that out there and hope for a lucky outcome. So that's his kind of contemplation. You've got Xana, who, if she challenges him and dies, Bane will kill her and her apprentice. But then she doesn't feel he's fit to lead. So, and she doesn't know about the essence transfer thing. So she doesn't, she doesn't think the Sith will live on. Then you've got the side character, the female, the daughter of the healer, who, she wants retribution, she wants justice. Excuse me, but that's a double-edged sword. Like, it's not easy to kill a Darth anything, let alone just a Sith Lord that she doesn't know that there's. For example, she doesn't know there's two. She doesn't know that there's Xana. She doesn't know that Xana's the one that actually orchestrated the end of the second book, because Darth Bane was actually too injured. She doesn't know about that. She wasn't there. So her kind of anger is it's not misplaced, but she doesn't know that it's she should be angry at more people, basically. And then you've got there's other things going on. There's multiple deaths and things like that, but the bulk of the story ends in this big crescendo where, and again I don't want to spoil it, so one of the two prevails in a very in a very interesting way, and the only thing I would say about that is my criticism for the end of the book, was that happened and it didn't really carry on after that with any kind of information, and I think that it could have been rounded out a little bit more with a what was to happen next kind of thing, but obviously you've got to take that ending with it has finished that storyline, and there's a bit of a cliffhanger in the sense that of course you want to know more about the character you've come to know, so you're obviously going to want more, but it kind of leaves it open in that regard to carry on a story somewhere else where it isn't just the same story carrying on from end to start. In film sometimes it's difficult to start a sequel to something nowhere near where you left off, because it needs that linear feel, whereas with a book, because you're world building so vividly with the readers' that their imagination and information you give them. You can kind of pick up wherever you want with these characters in the future, as long as you are building the world in a way that gives enough information to kind of give the context of, okay, it's 10 years later, it's they're on this planet, this has happened, here we are in the galaxy, here's the state of Republic politics, that kind of thing. Whereas like if you just watched episode 4 and then episode 6 with no context, you would be like, well, a lot's happened in between that one and that one. Whereas with the books, although obviously you don't want to miss book 2 and just read book 1 and 3, there is a different style to writing Star Wars novels as there is to Star Wars films or TV series. So it's definitely worth a read, or in my case a listen. I would definitely jump on Audible and listen to the trilogy in, like I say, in chronological order. It will enrich the story if you do it in the right order. So if I were to, like I mentioned in my previous review, if I were to give it a grade, give it a rating as an individual book, it was my least favourite of the 3, but it was very interesting. Again, there was some great lore in there. Darth Bane seeking the holocrons, about Sith power and essence transfer and all these other things. Like that's all fantastic, and I love that. And I think that's why the trilogy as a package is brilliant, because if you miss out any one of them, you don't get that full, sizable kind of golden nugget of Sith lore. You get bits here and there, but when you string it all together, it becomes this really rich information, kind of like data bank almost, of like, okay, right, in these 3 books, they are essentially the accounts of Darth Bane and his times, and it takes you into the background of what it is to become a Sith, to thrive as a Sith, and to survive as a Sith, rather than just Sith have red lightsabers, by the way, and that's because they're bad. It's a lot more in depth than that. So I definitely recommend it. I would give this one an 8 out of 10 rather than go to the 8, 9, 9, or even 10, because it's a great book, but it's my least favourite of the 3. And I think it's just because when you follow a book 1, 2 and 3, in the 3rd book you want some great payoff that in your mind you feel should happen based off of what you've been listening to for the 1st and 2nd books. And for me, the story was great, but I was left wanting a little bit. I don't know how else to describe it other than it didn't quite pan out as with the massive payoff that I wanted. It was a great payoff, but if you're going up to get to that crescendo of an ending, my feeling towards the end was that, like, although there was some great content, kind of just plateaued just before. So for me, the first 2 books are on a constant rise, brilliant, and then the 3rd book's like just shy of that like consistent 999 kind of rating for the 1st, 2nd and 3rd books, of having that level of great story, world building, the music, the narration, all that kind of stuff. So like I say, I hope this was informative. I definitely would recommend jumping on the trilogy, because I knew nothing about Darth Bane other than that nugget of he's the one that started the Rule of Two really before. And I know so much now that it's really sparked my interest in the Old Republic, and kind of diving deep and jumping back into that time. And it makes me want to jump in, more with the games and other novels and stuff like that. And with these newer games that are on the way forward, that are going backwards, it'd be really interesting to see them dive into these kind of times. After Jedi Survivor. The game that's queued up, I forget what it's called, but it's more of an open world game based way before the Skywalker saga, if I'm correct in saying that. So that would be really interesting, and I saw some of the visuals from the trailer and they look amazing. Moving forward, maybe only in video game form, but that would be great too. Maybe we'll get some more expansions of these kind of stories and the content in them. But as I say, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're all keeping well. As I'm filming this, it's firework night, so there are some pops and bangs in the background. Hence the break in the middle of the video in the review, because my dog was kind of getting too excited. But he's all good, and I hope you are too. So go and enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Have a great day, and take care. We'll see you in the next one.